Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to today's demo. In today's demo, we are going to install and configure the PDF editor for SharePoint Online extension. So before we get into the demo, let's look at the prerequisite. The first prerequisite that you need to have is that you need to be a SharePoint global admin on your Office 365 environment. You should also have administrator privileges to run installer on your local computer. You should make sure that you have app catalog configured. So to make sure that the app catalog is configured, I go to my SharePoint Admin Center and I click on More Features and then I click on Apps. When I click on Apps, you see that it's preparing my SharePoint app catalog. Now that you have the app catalog being configured, it might take a few minutes. So let's look at another prerequisite. The prerequisite to run the installer would be to have Node.js installed on your local computer. So I open a tab in the browser and I type in Node.js install. The first link that comes up, I'll click on it. I'll select Windows installer. So next, I'll click on Open File and this opens up my Node installer. I'll click on Next. I'll click on Accept. I'll click on Next. I'll click on Next. Next. Install the dependencies. Install. Perfect. So yeah, my friends, Node is getting installed on my computer. I'll just click on Continue. I'll just press any key to continue and Node will be installed. So while Node is getting installed, let's look at another prerequisite. Another prerequisite would be to have a Vercel account. So if you don't have a Vercel account, type in Vercel, go to Login, and here, my friends, you can sign up. So remember that it's a prerequisite to have a Vercel account as well. The next important prerequisite would be to have Vercel CLI installed. So I can type in Vercel CLI. And I'll hit enter. So understand this, for the Vercel CLI to be installed, it's a prerequisite to install Node. That is the reason why we install Node on the computer. Perfect, right? So to install the Vercel CLI, I first need to open PowerShell and I'll run it as an admin. Perfect. So if I want to check the Node version installed on my computer, I can type in node-version. This tells me that I have 18.12.1 version installed. And then I can install Vercel CLI. So to install Vercel CLI, I need to use this command, that is npm-g, stands for Global Installation Vercel. I've copied it and I hit enter. Perfect. So we have all the prerequisites in place. The first prerequisite would be to have global admin privileges on your tenant. The next would be to have an app catalog in your environment. Next would be to install Node.js onto your local computer. Fourth would be to have a Vercel account and Vercel CLI installed on your computer. Now that you have the prerequisites in place, we can proceed with the installation. So I have downloaded and extracted my installation package on my local computer. The package consists of an SPPKG file, that is a SharePoint package. Then it has a folder in which the actual code resides, and then you have an image or a logo which will be used during the installation. So I need to right click and run the installer, that is the exe file, as an administrator. Perfect. The first thing that it will ask us is it needs to have a NuGet package provider installed on your computer. And I'll say yes. The next would be to install an untrusted repository. Now, here, my friends, trust me, the untrusted repository would be the Azure AD repository that is getting installed onto your computer. So that's also a prerequisite, but installer takes care of it for us. Next would be to install another untrusted repository. In this case, the untrusted repository would be the PNP PowerShell. So again, the installer is taking care of it for us, so that's awesome. Perfect. So next, it gives us the installation options. The first installation option would be to install the first option would be fresh installation. The second would be to install PSPDFKit editor extension app only. The third would be to update the web application or the license file. The fourth option would be to update the URL of the external web application. The fifth option would be to remove the PS PDF Kit app registration from Azure. And the sixth option would be to uninstall the PS PDF Kit editor extension app. In our case, this will be a fresh installation, so I'll click on option number 1. The first thing it prompts me for my Office 365 credentials. So I'll put in my username and password here. So I'll sign in. So this will prompt us for the Vercel login. Depending on how you have signed up, you can select the option, that is GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, email, or SAML. In my case, I'm using GitHub. Perfect. So once I'm authorized, the installer should go to the next step, and it does. So it will ask me to set up and deploy. So I'll say yes. Where do I want to deploy it? So I want to deploy it to the default scope, or the scope that I have logged in with. That's my Vercel account. Do you want to link an existing project? The answer is no. What's the name of your project? So I'll give my name. So I'll give the name of the project as PS PDF Kit Extension Demo 03. Understand this, the name of the project should always be in the lowercase. That's very important. Where is the code located? Yes, it's located in the root. And next, it will ask me if I want to modify the default settings for Vercel. The answer is no. So here, my friends, it's trying to install our extension in Vercel. Perfect. So here, my friends, it's asking me if I want to have this uploaded at a tenant level or at a site app level. So I'll say at the tenant level. So I'll type in 1, and it will again ask me to log in, and it will ask me for permissions out here. And this consent is on behalf of the organization, so make sure that you have appropriate privileges, or the tenant admin privileges, or global admin. I'll click on accept. And it's uploading the app to the app catalog. Do you want to deploy it to all site collections? Yes, I want to deploy it at the tenant level. It's making sure that it's getting deployed at the tenant level. And here, my friends, it's opened my Azure environment for me. And at this point, I need to grant admin consent. So I can just say grant admin consent. Yes, admin consent has been added. It will also open the app catalog for me, so I can just check if the extension has been installed successfully. And yes, my friends, the extension has also been installed properly. Next is time to test. So I can just go to my root site. So I'll just copy this URL. In fact, it's deployed to all the site collections. You can go to any site collection and you can test this. I'll click on settings, click on site contents. When I select a document, you see the edit with PS PDF Kit editor option in the file menu, and you'll also see it in the context menu. You can click on it. And here, my friends, the editor is opening the file in the viewer. Isn't this awesome? Now here, my friends, the editor has got a vast number of options, such as adding annotations, signatures, etc., etc. Let's look at few of them. So in my case, let me add a signature, or let me type a signature. I'll type in my name and I'll click on done. So here I have typed a signature. I can also use the content editing. Now you see an evaluation watermark out here. As soon as you apply the license, the watermark will go away. So I clicked on content editing, and I can edit the content within the context of your browser in the PDF directly. This is how it works, and I can say save changes. The next interesting feature would be to use the document editor. And here, my friends, if I click on 3 dots and click on ellipsis, I can import the file from my SharePoint itself. In this case, I'll select an existing file, and the file will be added to the document. I can also use the document editor to change the sequence of the file, but I leave it as it is. So I'll click on cancel, and here I'll click on save. At this point, the file is been written back to my SharePoint and saved successfully. So if I click on the back button out here, and if I just open the default SharePoint editor or the browser, you see the document has been appended, the annotations have been added. Isn't this awesome? And that's pretty much it. I hope this installation demo was informative and thank you for your time. Bye-bye.